5 years passed by in a flash. All of the cultivators on planet Qingling, no matter what cultivation level, were busy during these 5 years. Zhang Xinhai considered for a long time and decided to not conceal Wang Lin's request. He spread Wang Lin's request so every cultivation family knew of it. However, the Zhang family gained the identity of Wang Lin's messengers. During these 5 years of time, these cultivators traveled among the mortals and constantly collected their resentment. This aura existed on almost every mortal, the only difference was the amount. There were simply too many mortals on planet Qingling. In 5 years of time, less than 40% was collected. Seeing that half the time had passed, Zhang Xinhai became anxious. However, right now was already the fastest they could go. Even he himself had gone out to collect from the mortal world. Everyone in the family that had at least reached the 5th layer of qi condensation were sent out. During these 5 years of time, Wang Lin sat on top of the mountain refining his treasures. What he refined was the mountain and river screen inside his origin soul. It was seriously damaged. Inside Wang Lin's origin soul, thunder was fused into it to help repair it. In addition, there was the celestial mountain. Due to the crack, soul extraction had become unstable. Wang Lin used his origin soul's energy to slowly refine and repair it. As for the crown fused with red butterfly's blue rose, Wang Lin had studied it for a long time but was unable to see through it. These 3 treasures were things he had just obtained. While refining them, Wang Lin took some time and combined them with what he saw from the path to the 3rd step. He took out some ordinary magical treasures from his bag. One was the Soul Lasher. This whip had followed Wang Lin for a long time, and its power had obvious advantages and disadvantages. Before, Wang Lin didn't see it as important, but right now he cared about it a lot. Wang Lin looked at the Soul Lasher in his hand and muttered, "Out of all my treasures, in terms of intelligence, it can't compare to the Celestial Sword or the Half-Moon Blade. In terms of defense, it can't compare to the 1 billion soul flag or the mountain and river screen. In terms of abilities, it can't compare to the Celestial Mountain or the God-slaying war chariot. But this is the only treasure that contains the aura of the 3rd step I saw. This thing is indeed very strange." This whip looked very normal. But the heavenly ghost almost lost its wit when it saw this whip. It was as if it recognized it. Extracting origin souls is in line with the source of Tao. It can also be considered karma, with the body being karmic cause and origin soul being karmic effect. This is a treasure that was refined on the latter part of the karma Tao. Wang Lin's eyes shined as he pondered. His domain had gradually transformed from the life and death domain to the karma domain. This domain was simply too large. Wang Lin had only touched the tip of the iceberg, but he could already feel how majestic it was. My current comprehension of the karma domain isn't enough to create something real, like the underworld river. However, after seeing the path to the 3rd step, I gained some understanding. As Wang Lin's right hand rubbed the Soul Lasher, his eyes shined brighter and brighter. He thought of a way to use the power of materialized karma domain before he could actually make it materialize. This was to make sure that he was adequately prepared for this trip to the Thunder Celestial Realm. Using the Soul Lasher to help condense the karma domain should work. As Wang Lin pondered, he made a decision. If it was someone else, they would be afraid and would hesitate for a long time and would ultimately be unable to make a decision. This was because they didn't know if this choice was correct, or whether it would interfere with comprehending their existence. However, Wang Lin was different, as he had clearly seen the path ahead. He knew that at most this would affect his domain a bit, but it wouldn't be anything big. After pondering for a bit, Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he picked up the Soul Lasher. "I'll make you the implementation of my domain." Wang Lin's eyes released a strange light and he placed the whip in his lap. He then closed his eyes and began to carefully refine it. His mind had to be connected to the treasure so that the domain could slowly enter it. Time often passed without leaving a trace. Spring passed and autumn came. In a flash, another 3 years went by. Wang Lin had lived on this planet Qingling for 8 years. During these 8 years, he had never left the mountain. In fact, aside from Zhang Xinhai, no other cultivator on the planet had seen him. However, the owner of planet Qingling, the ancestor of planet Qingling, began to weigh heavier and heavier in the cultivators' hearts. In particular, that thick, black fog surrounding the mountain had caused many cultivators' hearts to turn cold. However, there were some cultivators who had cultivated stupidity. They would charge in to provoke might of this so-called master of planet Qingling. All of them were immediately devoured by the black fog as soon as they rushed in. The only thing that remained were the mournful screams that echoed across the world, as if they were warning the cultivators to not enter. As for mortals, they weren't so troublesome. When they saw the black fog, they knew that it was filled with danger, so none of them entered this place. If they entered because they were lost, Wang Lin wouldn't commit pointless murder. The soul flag contained Wang Lin's will. These mortals would go into a coma and would be sent to the edge of the region. During these 3 years, Wang Lin focused on refining his treasures. The only noisy thing was Su Ligua. He had somehow broken the seal that Wang Lin placed on the bag of holding. Although he still wasn't able to come out, he always clamored non-stop. On this day, the soul lasher in Wang Lin's lap had some karma domain infused into it. This made it easier to control them with divine sense. At the same time, with the fusion of the latter part of the karma domain, the soul lasher was even more powerful. However, at this moment, the strange voice appeared once more. "Little Lin, do you dare to let out your grandpa Su? I'm powerful now, so you don't dare to release me anymore. Rest assured, this old man will not act against you. I have thought about it, and from now on you will follow me. Our identities will change and I'll be the master." Su Ligua's arrogant voice was extremely overbearing. Wang Lin frowned. If it wasn't for the fact that he knew that he was short on time to deal with Su Ligua, he would have already taught Su Ligua a lesson. Not only did Su Ligua not understand this, he had grown even more presumptuous. Wang Lin's eyes became cold. He slapped his bag of holding and coldly said, "Get out here." "Oh, you dare to talk like that to your grandpa Su? Little Lin, you don't seem to understand the situation. I'm no longer the old Su Ligua." Su Ligua's voice came out and a black mist came out with him. This black mist was filled with sword energy and immediately charged out. In midair, the mist formed Su Ligua's appearance. Just as he appeared, he immediately laughed loudly and roared, "Even I, Su Ligua, will have my day. The heavens aren't blind. I'll finally be able to raise my head up high." Wang Lin coldly looked at Su Ligua and didn't speak. Su Ligua finished speaking and looked at Wang Lin, revealing a fierce gaze. At this moment, he returned to his arrogant appearance. His whole body shrank and suddenly formed a large sword in midair. This sword looked exactly like the celestial sword. As it charged, a powerful sword energy shot out. This sword energy also contained an ancient sword intent. It was extremely shocking. He charged straight at Wang Lin as if he could break through the void and closed in an instant. Wang Lin's eyes were still cold. When Su Ligua closed in, Wang Lin didn't move, but the soul lasher on his lap moved and flew into the air. A mysterious aura spread out and immediately surrounded a 1,000-foot area. This aura contained an unimaginable force that made it seem as if this 1,000-foot area was separated from the outside, and was filled with a majesty powerful enough to make someone collapse. Su Ligua felt it most clearly. He exclaimed, and the big sword he formed became unstable. However, the big sword suddenly released even more sword energy. He was obviously going to resist by force. At this moment, Wang Lin's voice slowly echoed. "It is difficult for the things in this world to escape karma. There is no place without karmic cause, and karmic effect is everywhere." The soul lasher flickered and created an explosion as if it had opened the doors of fate. The soul lasher connected end to end, forming a circle. Su Ligua's large sword involuntarily fell into the circle and quickly disintegrated. Karmic effect is the source of all karmic cause. Wang Lin's voice sounded again. The disintegration of the large sword happened in almost an instant, and it reverted back into the black fog. Su Ligua's face appeared in the black fog. His face was filled with terror and his eyes were filled with fear. Master, I was wrong. Little Su was wrong, really wrong this time. Spare me once, please spare me this time." Su Ligua immediately began to plead. His voice was extremely miserable. Wang Lin's eyes were cold as he looked at Su Ligua. Su Ligua's black mist was rapidly disintegrating inside the circle as Wang Lin calmly said, "You obtained the ancient sword intent because of me, so the fruit of that also belongs to me." Su Ligua was shocked to find that the black fog that formed his body started dissipating even faster. A sense of crisis immediately emerged from him, causing him to lose his wit. He immediately begged, Master, I know I was wrong, and I will never dare to rebel again. Besides, it was you who turned me into a devil. If you hadn't, I wouldn't be here today. Isn't that right, Master? Isn't that karma? Su Liguo was very anxious as he spoke. He could feel that he was about to completely disintegrate. The regret in his heart had already filled his body. I should have never provoked this fiend. Over these countless years, I have never succeeded once. Su Liguo, how could your memory be this bad? This old Wang devil is more of a devil than me. Su Liguo wished he could give himself a slap. Wang Lin revealed a faint smile and said, "That is your karma, not mine." The circle formed by the soul lasher loosened. It then turned into a ray of light and disappeared. After the domain fused with it, it no longer had a physical form. It became like one's domain, something that couldn't be seen but could still be felt. Su Liguo, who almost collapsed, immediately backed up a few steps. The terror in his eyes was still very strong. He had lost all the arrogance from before and his face was filled with flattery. He quickly said, "Master's spell is indeed fierce. In fact, little Su only did this in order to let Master get more practice. In fact, little Zu's loyalty to Master is sky high without a thought of rebellion." Wang Lin looked at Su Liguo and calmly said, "Since you can come out, there is no need to go back into the bag of holding. You can stay within 5,000 kilometers of this mountain. Go comprehend your ancient sword intent." Su Liguo was startled. He didn't expect this old field to be this easygoing. His eyes turned and quickly said, "Master, Su Liguo is reluctant to leave you. I only feel steadfast when I'm near you." As he spoke, he carefully looked at Wang Lin. Wang Lin's expression remained the same and he nodded. "Since that is the case, then stay here." Su Liguo revealed a smile, but his heart felt bitter. Would this fiend really let me roam freely within 5,000 kilometers? This isn't right, this doesn't match this fiend's personality. There must be some trick. Humph, it is lucky that I, Su Liguo, am smart, or else I might have suffered more. Su Liguo felt very proud as he thought about this. He quickly took form and sat down. After a while, he was a bit disturbed. He would occasionally look at Wang Lin to try to find some clues. Wang Lin stopped paying attention to Su Liguo and slapped his bag of holding. The mosquito and the thunder toad immediately appeared. The mosquito lied comfortably on the thunder toad's back. After it appeared, it let out a cry toward Wang Lin, but it remained laying on the thunder toad's back as if it wasn't willing to leave no matter what. After they appeared, the other mosquito beasts followed them. Although they were still considered to be in their larvae state and not grown up yet, they all still appeared very ferocious. As for the thunder toad, it seemed to be used to the despicable mosquito beast on its back. After it appeared, its belly expanded and it found a location on the side and seemed to have gone to sleep. Shortly after, the god-slaying war chariot appeared and turned into the thunder beast. As soon as it appeared, it saw the thunder toad and began to roar. Thunder toad's originally lazy appearance suddenly disappeared. Its eyes were wide open and it stared at the thunder beast with its belly expanding. The mosquito beast was also full of spirit as it looked at the thunder beast with interest. Su Liguo was on the side, and his eyes opened wide. He carefully looked at the thunder beast and thought, "Master is really master. It hasn't been long, but now there is another dumb beast. Fight, it's best if you all fight. Then you will all know that I have been with Master the longest. However, I have to say that Master really does have luck with beasts. I, old Su, am very humble and only have luck with beauties." Su Liguo's expression entered a trance as he thought about the little beauty in the demon spirit land. Alas, since ancient times, sentiments lead to regret. This is a truth that old fiend Wang can't understand. Su Liguo felt quite regretful. He looked at the thunder beast, thunder toad, and mosquitoes before looking at Wang Lin. He felt a sense of loneliness and pride. The refining of treasures continued, but at this time this was not the focus as time was limited. Wang Lin decided to use what he saw of the third step and adjust his spells. He began to ponder. Among the spells he controlled, the most powerful spell he could use was the Heavenly Chop. However, before he broke in through the first step of cultivation and entered the illusory Yin stage, it would consume his precious origin energy. After that was the Stop spell. This spell wasn't any weaker than the Heavenly Chop. If used at the right moment, it would play a decisive role. Aside from those 3 spells, there were the Finger of Death, Demonic Finger, and Underworld Finger. There were also the 3 abilities of the Underworld River. Dao forms Underworld River, Formation of River Soul, and Power of the Underworld River. What he needed to adjust were the 3 fingers. If he continued to use them, then it would harm him greatly on his path toward the 3rd step. These 3 spells were not complete and would cause his body harm. As for why they would be harmful to his path to the 3rd step, Wang Lin didn't know, but he had a feeling. As he pondered, he flicked his finger and used all 3 spells to gain some insight. The spells came out one after another. He gradually increased the speed of the spells and kept casting them one after the other. Wang Lin frowned as he used the vague feeling in his mind to look for clues and gradually improved the spells. This process was extremely tiresome, so it didn't take long before he felt tired. After resting for a short while, Wang Lin began once more. The wheel of time moved once more and 2 more years passed. During these 2 years, Wang Lin spent most of his time focusing on refining the spells. However, in the end he wasn't able to achieve satisfactory results. Wang Lin understood that he was too impatient. However, he didn't give up and did his best to slowly improve his spells. If someone at the 2nd step saw this, they would be shocked. This kind of improvement was the same as deducing the original celestial spell from the current spell. Not to mention for him, this was something very difficult for even people like the All-Seer. During the 2 years of time, the Thunder Toad and Thunder Beast were very hostile to each other. But they didn't fight. The Thunder Toad was too weak, and the Thunder Beast felt disdain even though it felt that the Thunder Toad could potentially pose a threat in the future. As for the Mosquito Beast, its interest shifted from the Thunder Toad to the Thunder Beast. It flew around the Thunder Beast as if it wanted to lie on the Thunder Beast's back. However, every time it tired it wasn't successful, but that only made it more interested. Su Ligua felt disdain toward all of this. As time passed, he noticed that Wang Lin had completely forgotten about them. After considering it carefully, he went 1,000 feet away from Wang Lin and cheerfully roamed the mountain. However, he did remember Wang Lin's words and didn't dare to go more than 5,000 kilometers from here. He gradually became bored as there wasn't a single person within the 5,000-kilometer area. People tend to stay far away from this area, which made Su Ligua very depressed. About 1.5 years ago, there were some cultivators outside that were originally afraid to come in. He ended up using spells to trick them into entering. After playing around with them, he released them. However, from then onward, no more cultivators dared to come. Even many years later, whenever those cultivators thought about what had happened to them, their hearts would turn colder. On this day, he was extremely bored while flying around the area, hoping for some mortals to enter. He suddenly shivered and an excitement that he hadn't felt for a long time immediately filled his body. Su Ligua's eyes glowed as he stared at the fog and began shouting excitedly. Someone finally came. Zhang Xinhai appeared outside the fog with a tired face and his body was filled with death aura. Beside him was a very tense middle-aged man. This person was wearing black robes and his cultivation level was also at the peak of the nascent soul stage. The middle-aged man looked rather warily at the black fog in the distance and whispered, "Dad, do we really have to go?" Zhang Xinhai said in a serious tone, "Of course we have to. Your father's lifespan is about to be over. Aside from completing Senior's request, this trip is to also introduce you to Senior as my successor. Once I die, you will replace me and act as the messenger for Senior to ensure the existence of our Zhang family forever." The middle-aged man hesitated and said, "But Dad, I heard from some friends that this Senior has some quirks. More than a year ago, a few friends were." Before he could finish, Zhang Xinhai stared at him and the middle-aged man immediately shut up. Su Ligua was like a ghost as he quickly approached the area. He was hiding in the black fog, so the Zhang father and son didn't notice him. Su Ligua's face was filled with excitement as he looked at the father and son and muttered, Yes, that old one is dying and won't be able to withstand me playing around. Your grandpa Su will be nice and let your body go. As for the little one, The excitement in Su Ligua's eyes became stronger and stronger as he looked at the middle-aged man from the fog. There was even a trace of depravity in his eyes. He let out a dry cough and spoke in an upright tone. "Who is it? State your name." Zhang Xinhai took a deep breath. He stopped 5,000 kilometers away from the mountain and didn't enter. Instead, he clasped his hands and respectfully said, "Junior Zhang Xinhai has completed Senior's request and requests to meet Senior." His voice was hoarse as it slowly entered the black fog. Su Ligua's eyes turned and he said, "The old one can come in. I'll take you to meet my master." Zhang Xinhai was startled and hesitated for a bit before stepping into the black fog. The moment he entered, he felt a wind wrap around him and his body was rapidly sent forward. Shortly after, he arrived at the peak and the wind dissipated. He immediately saw Wang Lin and respectfully said, "Senior, Junior didn't disappoint you and gathered all the resentment on planet Qingling." As he spoke, he took out the jades, 1,000 in total. He placed them all on the ground and respectfully took a few steps back. After Su Ligua sent away Zhang Xinhai, he excitedly returned back to the edge of the fog. He looked at the middle-aged man outside and said, "Little brat, come in, don't be afraid. Your grandpa Su will give you some benefits." When he saw that the middle-aged man was still hesitating, he immediately shouted, "Why haven't you come in?" The middle-aged man clenched his teeth and stepped into the black fog. Wang Lin opened his eyes and scanned the jades. He immediately felt the resentment inside them. There was an alarming amount of resentment, as if there was a storm of resentful aura. Wang Lin slowly said, "Very good. The person you brought will be my messenger outside of Hengyun Peak in the future." After pondering for a bit, he took out a pill and threw it at Zhang Xinhai. "Give it to your son. If he is gifted enough, perhaps he can rely on the aura inside the pill and gain a slightly higher chance to reach the soul formation stage." Zhang Xinhai's face was filled with ecstasy. He quick took the pill and put it away like a treasure. He emotionally said, "Thank you, Senior." Wang Lin commanded, "This resentment is an illusionary thing, and it will regenerate. In the future, your Zhang family will be in charge of collecting it every few years." Then he took out a few red seeds and gave them to Zhang Xinhai. "These are called celestial ascension fruits. Get people to plant them and speed up their growth with spiritual energy. Over the next 10 years, plant as many as possible." Zhang Xinhai quickly nodded. Wang Lin had gotten those seeds from Chen Kuizi's bag of holding. Zhang Xinhai and his son left the Hengyun Peak. However, the son seemed to be in a trance, giving off a strange expression and even a trace of savoring. As for Su Ligua, he was grounded by Wang Lin. If it wasn't for the fact that what Su Ligua did wasn't too bad, Wang Lin would have directly refined Su Ligua. After being grounded to be within 1,000 feet of Wang Lin, Su Ligua had an expression like he was wronged. He no longer dared to sneak out. All he did was look into the distance all day and sigh in his heart. "I was just taking over their physical bodies and then enjoying the feeling of having flesh. How big of a thing can it be, alas?" Wang Lin didn't have time to pay attention to Su Ligua. After grounding Su Ligua, he once again focused on perfecting his spells. During that time, he slowly absorbed the resentment into his underworld river. After absorbing the resentment, the underworld river was different from before. After absorbing the resentment, the soul of the underworld river gradually took shape. Time quickly passed. The improvement of the spells cost Wang Lin too much energy. Although he still wasn't successful, the constant improvement allowed him to continue comprehending the direction of the third step, so Wang Lin's domain was gradually becoming stronger. Finally, on his 18th year on planet Qingling, his life and death domain reached completion without any flaws. This meant that once he had enough celestial spiritual energy, he would truly be at the peak of the first step. Wang Lin still had some celestial jades, but he didn't know if he had enough. Even if it wasn't enough, Wang Lin could still drink the celestial liquid. This time he had to reach the peak of the late stage of Ascendant and reach the peak of the first step of cultivation. The first step of cultivation. Wang Lin's eyes shined brightly. "When I reached the Ascendant stage, ancient demon Bei Luo said that heaven-defying cultivators would attract divine retribution. I wonder if divine retribution will arrive once more when I break through the first step and enter the illusory Yin stage." Wang Lin looked up at the sky and his eyes turned cold. That a large formation was built above the vast desert on the northwestern side of planet Qingling with celestial jades. Wang Lin sat down in the center of the formation and cultivated. Every time he took a breath, he would absorb a large amount of celestial spiritual energy into his body. This repeated again and again. The celestial spiritual energy in his body was slowly condensing. The peak of the late stage of ascendant was not something unattainable for cultivators, but it was still a step only a few could take. The reason was not domain or celestial jades but origin energy. If the origin energy fused into one's origin soul was insufficient when they reached the ascendant stage, then even if they could reach the ascendant stage, they would never reach the peak. At the same time, even if one gathered enough origin energy but suffered injuries to their origin soul, causing them to lose their precious origin energy that was fused with their origin soul, then they wouldn't be able to reach the peak. It could be said that origin energy was the key to reaching the peak of the first step of cultivation. Adding on the fact that ascendant cultivators couldn't absorb origin energy from the world to recover, it was natural that not many could reach the peak. After Wang Lin cultivated inside the Thunder Lake, he reached the limit of origin energy his origin soul could hold and reached the most basic requirement. As his domain was refined, it helped drive his cultivation. He slowly stepped toward peak of the late stage of ascendant, as he absorbed celestial spiritual energy. However, the amount of celestial spiritual energy required to reach the peak of first step was a terrifying amount. After absorbing for a year, Wang Lin used up all of the celestial jades. He then took out the celestial liquid and drank it without any hesitation. The celestial liquid entered his body along with a powerful sense of drunkenness. Wang Lin's body gave off a white mist. This white mist contained the scent of wine and spread across the area. At the same time, the celestial liquid gave off a large amount of celestial spiritual energy inside Wang Lin's body. It was like a powerful force that was rapidly pushing his cultivation toward peak of the late stage of ascendant. To complete with just a thought, and celestial spiritual energy moved along with one's aura. This was the description for the peak of the late stage of ascendant. One's domain was complete without a single flaw and a firm Tao heart. The body was filled with celestial spiritual energy, and it felt like even one's aura was filled with celestial spiritual energy. Wang Lin reached the peak of the late stage of ascendant 19 years and 8 months after he arrived on planet Qingling. All the celestial jades within countless kilometers of Wang Lin turned to dust when he broke through. Grass started growing out from the deserted land, and it was now filled with life. Wang Lin slowly opened his eyes, which contained the heavens. After 1,000 years of cultivation, I finally reached completion. Wang Lin let out a breath of relief and a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Looking back to those 1,000 years, he was once merely a little person at the Hongyu sect, but at this moment, he was at the peak of the first step and had even surpassed Zhu. This was something no one on planet Suzaku could have expected. Wang Lin didn't get up but touched his bag of holding, and a golden celestial brush appeared in his hand. Wang Lin held it in his hand and began drawing before him as if his hands were dancing. His previous limit was 7 strokes. Now he completed 7 strokes in one breath, and then drew one more to complete the 8th stroke. The dazzling light from the runes was enough to take one's mind. The power of 8 strokes is one level above 7 strokes. Wang Lin's eyes were peaceful. Right now he looked more like a scholar than a cultivator. When he put away the brush, the rune disappeared. The divine sense split into the runes returned to Wang Lin's body. Wang Lin stood up, took a step forward and disappeared without a trace. Half a month later, a bolt of thunder left planet Qingling and went straight into the sky. Wang Lin sat on the back of the thunder beast with his eyes closed and remained silent. All of the cultivators on planet Qingling raised their heads. Along with the respect in their eyes, they also relaxed a bit. It was as if that invisible pressure gradually disappeared as Wang Lin left. Before leaving, Wang Lin picked all of the celestial ascension fruits that had grown during these 10 years. Also, another wave of resentment had gathered. With this additional resentment, the underworld river soul was showing signs of awakening. Thunder streaked across the stars and Wang Lin left planet Qingling after living there for 20 years. This place was his cave. After obtaining a thunder furnace, he would come back here, as entering the thunder celestial realm from here would be safer. As the thunderbolt rushed through space, Wang Lin opened his eyes and began to ponder. If he wanted to go to the thunder celestial realm, he would need a thunder furnace. Without it, there would be no way to enter the thunder celestial realm. Wang Lin naturally knew this. However, the All-Heaven star system was different from the Alliance star system. The furnaces were not randomly dispersed. For some unknown reason, They all appeared together inside the Thunder Celestial Temple. The Thunder Celestial Temple would then assign a set amount to each cultivation family. Now there were only 3 months until the Thunder Celestial Realm would open. This was when all the families would obtain their thunder furnaces. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he made a decision. Since I don't have a thunder furnace, let's just steal one. Wang Lin's right hand lightly patted the Thunder Beast's head. The Thunder Beast let out a roar as if it was enjoying it. In truth, if he searched for Shengonghu, he could get one from him. However, Shengonghu's cultivation was too powerful. If they met too often, Shengonghu might see through him, so unless it was important, Wang Lin didn't want to look for that person. Not every cultivator that entered the Thunder Celestial Realm had entered the second step. After all, there weren't many second step cultivators. Most cultivators were between the soul transformation and ascendant stages. At the southern domain of the All-Heaven star system, with the help of the jade that Shengonghu left behind, Wang Lin found a cultivation planet. Wang Lin didn't bother to check the name of the two families. Every time the Thunder Celestial Realm opened, the two families here would obtain 1 or 2 furnaces. More importantly, neither of the two families had someone beyond the peak of the late stage of Ascendant. After arriving on the cultivation planet, Wang Lin scanned it with his divine sense. He found that the 2 heads of the 2 cultivation families weren't there. He drifted among the stars as he closed his eyes and cultivated. Time slowly passed. 1 month before the Thunder Celestial Realm opened, more than 10 rays of light came toward Wang Lin like meteors. Among the 10+ cultivators, one of them was at the illusory XIAN stage, while the others varied between the Ascendant stage and Soul Transformation stage. They moved very fast but suddenly stopped in the distance as their gazes fell on Wang Lin. The cultivator at the illusory XIAN stage was an old man who had silver hair and his eyes were shining. There wasn't much origin energy inside his body, and the origin energy that was present wasn't very stable yet. It was obvious that he had just reached the illusory XIAN stage not long ago. He stepped forward as he carefully looked at Wang Lin, and his eyes revealed a look of uncertainty. The old man asked, "Why has this Lord Messenger come to planet Zhongtan?" Wang Lin opened his eyes and frowned indiscernibly. His eyes were calm as he slowly asked, "Did you all come back from picking the thunder furnaces?" The old man's expression changed and he said, "That's correct. What does Lord Messenger want? Please speak." Wang Lin calmly said, "I need a thunder furnace." The old man looked at Wang Lin for a long time and then laughed. His laughter contained a hint of arrogance. His eyes lit up and he shouted, "During this trip to the Thunder Celestial Temple, I heard some rumors of someone posing as messenger of the Thunder Celestial Temple. Originally, I thought it was absurd, but today after seeing you, this old man has determined that you are a fake." "Oh." Wang Lin's expression remained neutral as he calmly looked at the old man. The old man sneered. "Which messenger of the Thunder Celestial Temple doesn't have a lot of subordinate families? Obtaining a thunder furnace would be extremely simple. Moreover, I have met all the messengers in the southern domain, but you are extremely unfamiliar. More importantly, all of the messengers are gathered at the Thunder Celestial Temple. Until the Thunder Celestial Realm opens, they won't come out." Wang Lin nodded and no longer wasted time with this nonsense. The shadow behind him moved and the Celestial Guard appeared. With one step, it immediately charged out and threw a punch. This punch contained a large amount of sonic booms as it charged toward the old man. The old man's expression changed. He thought that Wang Lin was only at the peak of the late stage of Ascendant. He even thought that the Thunder Beast under Wang Lin was fake. He never would have expected Wang Lin to have such a puppet. After a cold snort, the old man formed a seal and pointed forward. A black flame suddenly appeared in his hand. With a flick, the flame shot out and split into countless sparks that immediately surrounded the area. His family members had already retreated and were watching from a distance. The celestial puppet didn't mind the sparks at all, and let them land on its body. Not only did it not slow down, it moved even faster. The punch whistled through the air, and with a step it arrived before the old man. The punch broke through space and shot toward the old man. The old man's expression changed slightly, and he immediately retreated. At the same time, his hand formed a seal and a flame shield immediately appeared in front of his body. The Celestial Guard's punch landed on the flame shield, creating a loud explosion. Cracks immediately appeared on the flame shield and then it collapsed. As the sound echoed, the old man retreated with a pale face. The celestial guard was also pushed back several steps. There was a black flame burning its arm and slowly spreading over its body. "I only want a thunder furnace." Wang Lin calmly looked at the old man. The old man stared at Wang Lin. The punch from the puppet shocked him greatly. Unless he used origin spells, it would be impossible for him to defeat the puppet that was similar to his cultivation level. For this person to have such a puppet, he must not be ordinary. Even if he is impersonating a messenger of the Thunder Celestial Temple, it has nothing to do with me. It's just, if I were to just hand over a thunder furnace, then all of my Zhang family's face will be lost. The old man was in a difficult situation. If Wang Lin had reached the second step, then perhaps the old man would have just handed one over. After all, the family had obtained 3 thunder furnaces, so giving one away as a gift wasn't an issue. However, Wang Lin was only at the peak of the late stage of Ascendant. If he were to just directly surrender one, then he would lose all face. Wang Lin didn't want to deal with this nonsense. Although this person's cultivation level was outside his expectations, the old man had just entered the illusory Yin stage and was not stable. With Wang Lin's peak late-stage ascendant cultivation, along with his spells and treasures, battling this old man was not difficult. He slapped his bag of holding and a mountain stone immediately appeared in his hand. The stone immediately became a large mountain. It gave off rich celestial spiritual energy along with a hint of pressure. Wang Lin's right hand pressed on it and the mountain immediately trembled. Then an ancient aura gathered below his right hand. When he raised his hand, strands of fog gathered to form a fist-sized cloud of fog. At the moment the old man saw this, his expression changed greatly. Without any hesitation and with horror in his eyes he exclaimed, "Soul extraction spell! You're only at the peak of the first step. How can you use a spell like this?" Wang Lin's gaze was calm as his right hand pushed forward and the fog immediately flew out with a powerful pressure toward the old man. At the same time Wang Lin charged out, following closely after the fog. He raised his right hand and a bolt of thunder gathered in his hand. The roar of thunder suddenly came from the stars and in a flash, a real bolt of thunder formed in Wang Lin's hand. Right now Wang Lin was like a celestial that controlled thunder and lightning. With the lightning in hand, his eyes were cold as he walked toward the old man. The old man's expression changed greatly and he retreated once more. Both of his hands formed a seal and pointed between his eyebrows. The spot between his eyebrows began to move strangely and a gap immediately formed as if there was a third eye. His third eye became crimson as the blood in his whole body rapidly circulated and seemed to have condensed on his face. The origin energy in his body also moved like crazy and gathered between his eyebrows along with his blood. Doing all of this made him feel as if he was being torn apart. The moment the large amount of pain filled his body, a third eye slowly opened between his brows. The old man let out a roar as he stared at Wang Lin. Then both of his hands formed a seal and pointed at the 2 pressure points below his ears. In an instant, the third eye between his eyebrows suddenly opened. A red light came from inside it and spread out like a fan. Wang Lin's expression changed. This person's spell was simply too strange, so he decided to slow down a bit. At this moment the mountain soul closed in, and at the same time the third eye opened. Within the red light, the mountain soul began to rapidly disintegrate. This caused Wang Lin's eyes to narrow and he threw the bolt of thunder in his hand without any hesitation. The bolt of thunder charged straight at the old man. The old man was unable to use the origin spell at its full power, because he had just reached the illusory Yin stage 2 years ago, and was lacking in origin energy. Due to this, the red light from the third eye only lasted 3 breaths of time before he could no longer bear it. The third eye automatically closed and dissipated. As the lightning and the mountain soul that wasn't completely disintegrated closed in, the old man clenched his teeth. He then took something out from his bag of holding and raised it above his head. Wang Lin's left hand reached out and took the thing in the old man's hand. This object was the thunder furnace. After putting away the thunder furnace, Wang Lin didn't leave. His eyes gazed off a strange light as he looked at the old man and slowly asked, "Would you exchange the spell you just used with me?" The old man coldly snorted before he retreated and said, "I just stepped into the illusory Yin stage 2 years ago. If I had a few more years, then no matter how much more treasures you have, you wouldn't be this old man's match." Wang Lin withdrew the scattered mountain soul and calmly said, "I'm talking with you about exchanging this spell." The old man sneered. "Don't even think about it. You already took the thunder furnace, now leave quickly." Wang Lin's eyes narrowed. Then he raised his right hand and a ray of black light immediately shot out. The moment the black light appeared, the old man felt like his life force was about to be drained. The black light charged out directly toward the cultivation planet and immediately disappeared. However, the old man's divine sense closely followed it and saw the black light land on a plain. The vegetation on the plain immediately withered before turning into countless strands of vitality that flew out from the cultivation planet and entered Wang Lin's body. Wang Lin calmly said, "This spell is named Finger of Death." The old man snorted and said, "If I hadn't reached the illusory XIAN stage, then it would have barely caught my eye, but right now it is worthless." Although he said this, in his heart he was secretly shocked at how tyrannical it was. He wasn't interested in the spell's power but in its ability to absorb vitality. Wang Lin's right hand pointed once more and a demonic aura appeared around his fingertip. It shot out like a bullet and stopped before the old man. This spell is the demonic finger. It turns celestial spiritual energy into demonic energy. When used with the finger of death, its effect is even better. The old man stared at the black aura before him and began to ponder. He lifted his right hand and immediately caught it with his hand before scanning it with his divine sense. After a long time, he looked at Wang Lin and slowly said, "Rumor has it that people from planet Dongling are good at demonic aura spells. So you are from planet Dongling. However, this spell is still worthless." Wang Lin pondered a bit. Back then, what Sitanan cared most about was the underworld finger. The old man was startled and his heart was filled with disbelief. Even though the spell had defects, it wasn't something Wang Lin could use for an exchange. Wang Lin's eyes lit up as he raised his right hand and slowly said, "This final spell is something I learned from a Nirvana Shatterer senior. If you still don't find it interesting, then forget about this matter." Wang Lin's mind gave a command and then the celestial guard behind him turned into a ray of golden light and charged toward the cultivation planet. The puppet's movement caused the old man's expression to sink. Shortly after, the celestial guard returned with a fierce beast in its hands. The beast looked extremely ferocious and its whole body was covered in thorns. It had the arm of a mortal in its mouth. Apparently, it was eating when the celestial guard caught it. Wang Lin's two fingers from his right hand formed a sword. He hadn't used the celestial slaughter art in a long time. The countless strands of slaughter energy he condensed back then were placed inside the puppet and were all consumed in a battle. However, Wang Lin still had a profound understanding of the celestial slaughter art. After all, he had cultivated the spell for more than 100 years. At this moment, he focused for a moment and sword energy gathered in his finger. The ray of sword energy shot out into the beast and the beast immediately let out a miserable groan. The old man's eyes suddenly widened as the beast quickly withered and turned into a skeleton. A strand of gray gas came out from the beast's corpse and wrapped around Wang Lin's fingers. Wang Lin flicked his finger and the gray gas flew out. He then pointed at it, causing it to immediately change into a life seal and fly toward the old man. This spell is named the Celestial Slaughter Art. The old man was moved. His right hand reached out and grabbed the seal. His divine sense carefully examined the seal. The more he examined it, the more shocked he became. In the end, his eyes were glowing. With his cultivation, he was almost immediately able to see through the celestial slaughter art. The life seal obviously had a certain protective element, and the gray gas had offensive capabilities. Although it wasn't powerful, this spell could obviously be used many times and could be stored. This life seal is formed from the celestial slaughter art. It involves relying on slaughter to gather vitality, and surrounding one with vitality to form life seals. The more life seals there are, the more powerful the defense will be. Back then, the senior who taught me the spell said that if one had 1 trillion life seals protecting them, then even if the cultivation planet collapsed, one would still be safe and sound. Wang Lin wasn't lying. This was exactly what the gray-robed all-seer told him. For the first time, the old man's expression revealed hesitation. It was obvious that this celestial slaughter art had moved him with his insight. He could naturally see how powerful the celestial slaughter art was, and that it was not something ordinary cultivators could get a hold of. There was a certain credibility that this was learned from a Nirvana Shatterer senior. However, this third eye spell was a family inheritance, so it couldn't be casually taught to outsiders. The origin of the spell was unknown. It seemed to be something his ancestors had accidentally obtained. If it was the Alliance star system, a family like his would never be able to keep the spell to themselves. However, in the All-Heaven star system where families held power, almost each clan had inherited something, and those things were not easily taken. What was more important was that he was the first person to successfully learn it after his family had obtained it. Wang Lin waited for a moment. After seeing that the old man was still hesitating, he waved his sleeves and stepped toward the Thunder Beast. He then said, "Since fellow cultivator is still unwilling, then let's forget this matter." With that, the Thunder Beast under him turned into a bolt of thunder, and flew off into the distance with the celestial puppet following closely after. The life seal in the old man's hand collapsed and became ash. As it dissipated, a wave was set off in the old man's heart. It felt like it should have been his spell and it just was stolen away. Upon seeing Wang Lin disappearing into the distance, the old man's expression changed. He clenched his teeth and shouted, "Fellow cultivator, stop. I'll trade it for the celestial slaughter art along with the finger of death and demonic finger." Wang Lin stopped. The Thunder Beast let out a roar and turned around. It stopped 100 feet from the old man. Lightning came out of its nose and its eyes were filled with disdain. The old man clenched his teeth and said, "Exchange. This old man agrees to your exchange, but you have to promise not to spread it to others." Wang Lin nodded. Without wasting any time, he took out 3 pieces of jade. After recording the details of the 3 spells, Wang Lin threw them out, not fearing that the old man would back out. The old man looked through them. Although his expression was neutral, he admired Wang Lin's actions in his heart. He also took out a jade and recorded the method for the third eye spell before throwing it at Wang Lin. However, he schemed and made a few alterations. If one cultivated according to this, there will be great hidden dangers in the future. Wang Lin caught the jade and examined it. He secretly tried the spell and even spent painstaking effort to compare it to the moment when the third eye activated. He was immediately able to see through the issues, but he didn't point them out and simply nodded. Looking at the elder, Wang Lin felt somewhat bad. After all, he had gotten a great deal in this transaction. After hesitating a bit, he said, "Fellow cultivator, it is best not to cultivate more than 100,000 strands of slaughter energy, or else there might be great danger." After he said that, he immediately left as if he was in a rush to leave. The old man was startled before looking down at the jade in his hand. After pondering for a moment, he quickly returned to the cultivation planet with the others, and then immediately went into closed-door cultivation. He had cultivate as much as possible so that he would be prepared for when the Thunder Celestial Realm opened in 1 month. Wang Lin sat on the back of the Thunder Beast with a strange expression on his face. He shook his head and said, "Trading 3 spells with problems for a spell with a hint of the third step seems a bit too much." "A bit too much?" Wang Lin looked at the jade in his hand and a smile appeared on his face. The old man only treated it as an ordinary spell. Even if he cared about it, it was only to a certain extent. However, Wang Lin felt that this spell was extremely powerful, as it contained a trace of returning to the origin. If Wang Lin had not seen the third step, he wouldn't have seen the potential of this spell. He suppressed the excitement in his heart and carefully examined the jade. Wang Lin didn't care about the mistake left by the old man. As long as he had enough time, he could fix the mistake. This was a lot simpler than fixing the 3 other spells. The Thunder Beast rushed through the stars extremely quickly. Its target was Wang Lin's cultivation planet, Qinglin. The cultivators of Qinglin felt lucky that the eccentric senior with special interests had finally left. However, only a few months later, it became oppressive again as that senior with the special interests had returned. The area with 5,000 kilometers of Hengyun Peak became a restricted area once more, so no one dared to take half a step inside. After returning to his own cultivation planet, Wang Lin spent his time studying and fixing this third eye spell. He also slowly attempted to control it. More than half a month quickly passed. On this sunny day, there were no clouds in the sky and the sky was very blue. The gentle breeze carried with it a sense of warmth. Wang Lin stood at the Hengyun Peak with the thunder furnace in his hand. This furnace was only the size of his hand and thunder moved through it. Their movement of the thunder created crisp sounds. A subtle gap would occasionally appear and disappear between his eyebrows, giving off red light. At this moment, he looked extremely strange. No one would believe that he was a righteous cultivator. No matter how one looked, there was a trace of evil about him. All this was due to the gap between his eyebrows. Not long after, thunderclouds appeared in the blue sky. These clouds appeared abruptly without any signs. The sky was blue before, and then it was immediately covered by the clouds. Bursts of thunder moved within the clouds and gave off a series of rumbles. At the same time, the thunder furnace in Wang Lin's hand seemed to respond and the thundercloud grew denser. Just at this moment, a thick bolt of thunder descended from the clouds toward Wang Lin. As Wang Lin stared at the thunder, his eyes revealed a strange light. He knew that as long as the thunder hit the thunder furnace, he would be guided through the void toward the thunder celestial realm. However, he withdrew the thunder furnace. "This is celestial thunder." Wang Lin muttered to himself. Then the strange light in his eyes became stranger. His next move was unprecedented in the countless times the thunder celestial realm had opened. When the thunder celestial realm opens, it produces celestial thunder. The celestial thunder acts as a guide, and anyone with a thunder furnace will be led to the thunder celestial realm. As for why it was like this, no one knew. It was as if it had always been like this. Some powerful cultivators wanted to search for an answer, but no matter how hard they searched, they ultimately still found no answers. Over time, people stopped looking for the cause of this. They all knew that as long as they had a thunder furnace, they could enter the thunder celestial realm. At this moment, the celestial thunder arrived the moment Wang Lin put the thunder furnace away. The thunder had not yet landed, but the rumble could be heard. Wang Lin's eyes revealed a strange light and his origin soul operated like crazy. Bursts of thunder came from his body and even spread to the outside world. The current him was like a master of thunder and lightning. At the moment the thunder descended, Wang Lin's body charged out like a meteor. He opened his mouth and devoured the thunder without any hesitation. It was like magnificent sight. After he devoured it, the wind and clouds changed and the entire world seemed to dim. The originally bright thunder was devoured by Wang Lin. The loud series of thunderous rumbles quickly turned into muffled roars coming out from Wang Lin's body. Wang Lin's body trembled when he swallowed the thunder, and he had the illusion that he was hit by a punch from an ancient god. He directly fell from the sky like a broken kite and smashed toward the ground with a rumbling coming out of his body. At the moment his body landed on the ground, a large amount of thunder came out from his body and spread out. In an instant, the area with 5 kilometers of him was surrounded in a thunderstorm. There was nothing but a large pit in the ground. Explosions kept going off inside Wang Lin's body, and the force of the thunder smashed his body deeper into the pit. His whole body kept discharging intense amounts of thunder, and his eyes were shut tight. His origin soul was absorbing the celestial thunder like crazy. The thunder origin spell was also active, absorbing the origin energy from within the thunder. This scene was like the thunder lake within the asteroid field. The thunder in the sky echoed within the clouds as if the majesty of the celestial thunder couldn't be challenged. After the arrival of the celestial thunder, the clouds in the sky showed signs of dissipating and began to disappear. At this moment, deep inside the pit, Wang Lin suddenly opened his eyes. His eyes exposed powerful thunder and also a hint of excitement. He licked his lips. The origin energy within the celestial thunder was extremely rich. It was several times more dense than the origin energy from the Thunder Lake. He had already reached the limit in the amount of origin energy he could store due to his cultivation. However, this excess origin energy had caused his previous situation to change. He quickly moved and charged out from the pit. At the same time, he slapped his bag of holding and the thunder furnace appeared in his hand once more. The moment the thunder furnace appeared, the dissipated thunderclouds stopped and condensed once more. Then another bolt of celestial thunder descended. Wang Lin laughed and put away the thunder furnace. Although that last bolt of celestial thunder had left his entire body aching and his origin soul was barely holding on, the amount of origin energy inside it was unimaginable. If other cultivators saw Wang Lin's current actions, they would be dumbfounded. This kind of action could only be described as crazy. Devouring celestial thunder. When the second bolt of celestial thunder arrived, Wang Lin's body was floating in mid-air and thunder was rumbling out from his body. Thunder moved around his whole body as the bolt of celestial thunder descended. Wang Lin charged out without any hesitation and devoured it. A sound that shocked the entire planet echoed across the planet, and the entire planet trembled. This time, the moment his body hit the ground, he immediately sat down in the lotus position. His entire body was trembling violently. There wasn't enough time for Wang Lin to absorb it. After the two bolts of thunder, the clouds seemed unstable and were quickly dissipating. This time it was dissipating several times faster than before. A green light came out of Wang Lin's head while he was sitting in the lotus position. The moment the green light appeared, a blue mist came out as well and Wang Lin's origin soul came out from his body. The moment his origin soul appeared, the thunder furnace came out from his bag as well. His origin soul absorbed the thunder furnace and then rushed toward the clouds. The quickly dissipating thunder cloud issued a few unwilling bursts. It then stopped dissipating and condensed once more. However, it seemed angry this time as it gathered almost all the thunder and formed a bolt of celestial thunder much more powerful than the previous two. This thunder descended with a heaven-shattering rumble. At the moment the thunder descended, all of the thunder clouds were sucked into the thunder. From a distance, it didn't look like a bolt of thunder at all but a huge vortex instead. The vortex was formed by the thunder clouds with the third bolt of thunder at the bottom. A loud rumble echoed across the planet. None the cultivators dared to spread out their divine sense at this moment. All of the mortals, even the tyrants in the market and the experts of the martial arts world that didn't believe in cultivators, knelt on the ground, praying like devoted followers. Wang Lin's origin soul floated in the sky and stared at the terrifying thunder. He couldn't help but reveal a wry smile. It seems it has gotten out of hand. Watching the thunder descend, Wang Lin's origin soul moved and quickly elongated until it looked incredibly similar to the ancient thunder dragon. After letting out a roar, Wang Lin's origin soul rushed out and devoured the thunder. However, he only devoured half before quickly retreating. The celestial thunder let out an angry rumble and angrily chased after Wang Lin. His origin soul moved extremely quickly toward the ground and threw out the thunder furnace. Then his origin soul returned back into his body, and as he opened his eyes, his right hand grabbed the thunder furnace. The thunder chasing after him seemed to let out a reluctant roar as it landed on the thunder furnace. Even the intense vortex that followed the thunder also landed on the thunder furnace. The thunder furnace flashed like crazy. It was so intense that even Wang Lin's right hand felt numb. Even when he held lightning, he wouldn't feel this kind of numbness. This just shows how terrifying the thunder was. At this moment, the thunder vortex above the thunder furnace rapidly rotated and absorbed everything inside. From afar, it looked like the entire world was going to be absorbed by the furnace. Someone who didn't understand anything would think that this furnace was a top-quality treasure, because it seemed like would absorb the world. In almost an instant, the huge vortex entered the thunder vortex. As the vortex disappeared, the thunder furnace gave off crackling sounds and a crack appeared on it. This was the first time a crack had appeared on a thunder furnace since the Thunder Celestial Realm opened. This kind of phenomenon had never happened before over the countless years. The amount of thunder furnaces was always the same, and they could not be destroyed or lost. Every time the Thunder Celestial Realm opened, they would appear from the void and then return to the void. When they reappeared again, it would always be the same amount. However, right now it seemed like all of this was going to change. Wang Lin's face was filled with a bitter smile. He really felt like he had overdone it. He didn't know if he would be affected if the thunder furnace collapsed. Maybe it would prevent him from entering the Thunder Celestial Realm. It should not collapse. This thunder furnace is something from the Thunder Celestial Realm after all. As Wang Lin stared dumbfoundedly at the thunder furnace absorbing all of the thunder clouds, more and more cracks appeared on it until it finally shattered. A thunderous echo echoed across the heavens and earth, forming a giant storm on planet Qingling. The thunder furnace shattered into countless fragments and each fragment had thunder connecting them together. Wang Lin let out a breath of relief. As long as the fragments were there, there was a chance to fix this. However, the moment the fragments split, they collapsed once more. This time the fragments shattered into dust. This was the first thunder furnace that had collapsed since the Thunder Celestial Realm opened. From this day onwards, no matter how many times the Thunder Celestial Realm opened, it will forever be short one thunder furnace and an entry will be lost for eternality. This was the first time this kind of thing had happened in countless years. As for what would happen afterwards, no one knew. The thunder furnaces were originally indestructible. Breaking one was even very difficult for people at the second step. Even if someone could do it, they wouldn't, because it would gain them no advantage and have an extremely negative impact on the system. Wang Lin's bitter smile became even stronger. The moment Thunder Furnace shattered, all of the thunder inside it exploded forth. An unimaginably powerful thunder gushed out and surrounded Wang Lin. This thunder pulled him toward the sky at an extremely fast speed. This speed was too fast, as if it was trying to tear his body apart. Others would take the Thunder Furnace and be led toward the Thunder Celestial Realm, so their speed was relatively slow. Wang Lin's Thunder Furnace had absorbed the entire thundercloud to the point that the furnace itself couldn't withstand it anymore, so naturally his speed was several times faster. In almost an instant, this crazy thunder broke through the void and disappeared along with Wang Lin. His speed was almost indescribable, as if time was passing by in the blink of an eye. This space was clearly different from normal space. Wang Lin wasn't able to see his surroundings at all before he flashed by. There were many cultivators from the All-Heaven star system on the road to the Thunder Celestial Realm. They didn't have to fly on their own and were automatically being pulled by the thunder furnaces toward the Celestial Gate to wait for the gate to open. Every cultivator with a furnace was being pulled by their respective thunder furnace. Unless they were from the same cultivation planet, the distance between them was far too great to see each other. When they looked around, aside from the light coming from themselves, it was all just darkness. However, just at this moment, a powerful ray of thunder flew by like a meteor and carried with it a thunderous roar. The speed of this bolt of thunder was so fast that it had already reached an inconceivable degree. It instantly passed by several cultivators. The impact caused by its passing made the light around those cultivators flicker, as if they were about to extinguish. These cultivators were all from the same cultivation planet, and their expressions changed greatly. When they focused in that direction, they only saw a flash in the distance before it disappeared without a trace. What remained was the confusion and terror in the eyes of those cultivators. One of the cultivators muttered, "What? What was that?" Wang Lin was inside the meteor-like thunderbolt. The extreme speed made it so that he couldn't open his eyes at all. It was as if there was something moving inside his body and countless concaves had appeared all over his body. He didn't even dare to spread out his divine sense. At his current speed, he would reach the range limit of his divine sense the moment spread out. Due to the extreme speed, he would lose that part of his divine sense and damage his origin soul. His speed was too fast. This meteor-like thunder rampaged through the road to the Thunder Celestial Realm. Some of the first-time cultivators were excited about reaching the Celestial Gate before they saw this terrifying meteor. Each of them were so stunned that they forgot where they were for a moment. Even those that wouldn't easily reveal their true emotions were dumbfounded. This was not the first time for some other cultivators, but even for them, when they saw the meteor-like thunder, their expressions changed and were filled with uncertainty. In this environment, very few people dared to spread out their divine sense. Even if they did, it was impossible to lock onto the fast meteor. What exactly was inside that meteor? That became the first question that appeared inside the hearts of almost all the cultivators before they had even stepped onto the Thunder Celestial Realm. At the end of this empty space was the gate to the Thunder Celestial Realm. This gate was a huge bolt of thunder, only it was so large that it was impossible to see where it ended. This bolt of thunder was dark red. It appeared from the void, and the other end disappeared into the void like a river. However, there was no life coming from it, as if it was a person whose life had come to an end. There were many legends about this bolt of thunder in the All-Heaven star system. The most accepted one was that originally there was no gate to the Thunder Celestial Realm. The entire Thunder Celestial Realm was a giant lake of thunder, and it didn't need the gate. As for this dark red bolt of thunder, it was formed by the souls of all the Celestials when the Celestial Realm collapsed. This became the gate after the collapse. At this moment, There were already several people sitting in the lotus position under this dark red bolt of thunder. Shinggong, who was among them. Aside from the messengers of the Thunder Celestial Temple, there were some of the rare, solo cultivators from the All-Heaven Star System. In the All-Heaven Star System ruled by cultivation families, there weren't many solo cultivators. Without a terrifying cultivation level to back themselves up, it would be very difficult for survive. Almost every single solo cultivator was a powerful existence. The people under the gate to the Thunder Celestial Realm rarely talked to each other. All of them had their eyes closed as if they were unwilling to be disturbed by others. Sometimes there would be individual cultivators arriving through the guidance of the Thunder Furnace. Often, the first waves of cultivators were all those that had reached the second step. If one met an acquaintance, they would often exchange a few words, sit next to each other, or sit alone after greeting each other. A middle-aged man in blue was sitting next to Shinggong, who. His face was pale with no trace of color, but there was a coldness in his gaze. The middle-aged man had a strange tone as he slowly said, "I heard that the always arrogant Shinggong who now has an lord. I didn't believe you at first, but seeing that brother Shinggong is missing a part of your Tao soul, it seems like it is true. A pity. A pity." Shinggong, whose expression remained the same as he coldly looked at the middle-aged man before he calmly said, "A short-sighted person who has no ambition can't understand the ambition of a man with great intellect. A superficial person can't comprehend the thoughts of an ambitious person. Tang Yongfeng, you're not me." The man named Tang's eyes became cold and he gloomily smiled. "I want to see what kind of intelligence you have." Shinggong, who no longer spoke. During these 20 years he had been under a lot of pressure. This pressure came from his family and the Thunder Celestial Temple. All of this was because he had pledged to Wang Lin. In his family, he was scolded for his rash decision. Although he was a messenger of the Thunder Celestial Temple, he couldn't do anything against the family elders. As for the Thunder Celestial Temple, they didn't agree with a messenger pledging to someone else. Although they didn't obviously state anything, Shinggong, who could feel that the Thunder Celestial Temple was alienating him. For example, with his talent he shouldn't have been here at all right now. He should have been with the majority of the other Thunder Celestial Temple messengers, and entered the Thunder Celestial Realm through another path. Although he wasn't the only messenger here, those people couldn't compare to him at all in terms of status. Thinking about this, Shinggong not only felt no regret, he felt a powerful sense of pride. Not only did he feel that he wasn't wrong, he also felt like it was the best decision he ever made in his life. What he said to Tang Yanfeng was also the same thing he said to the elders of his family. Even the head elder of the family is stuck at the Nirvana Cleanser stage, so there is not even a need to talk about the legendary third step. What qualifications do they have to guide me? Shinggong, whose eyes shined brightly. Tang Yanfeng sneered. This Shinggong, who was the first one among their generation to become a messenger of the Thunder Celestial Temple. However, due to one misstep, he was now in such a situation. Just at this moment, a bright light suddenly appeared in the distance. After an instant, a thunderous rumble rushed closer like a storm. All of the cultivators opened their eyes and looked over. Tang Yanfeng was no exception. At the moment he looked over, the light suddenly intensified and headed straight for this place. The light carried with it a powerful rumble and closed in at an incredible speed. It was too fast and closed in an instant. There was not a lack of powerful cultivators here. Many of them spread out their divine senses, trying to lock on the meteor-like thunder to try to find some clues about it. However, due to its crazy speed, the meteor-like thunder already quickly closed in before they could even lock onto it. It brought with it a powerful force, making everyone's eyes become even more serious. As it closed in, not only did it not stop here like normal, it became even faster. It flashed by the crowd and charged directly at the gate. Under everyone's dumbfounded gazes, the meteor-like thunder suddenly hit the dark red bolt of thunder. Following a muffled rumble, the bolt of thunder disappeared into the dark red thunder, leaving everyone dumbfounded. "Enter!" It entered. One of the cultivators was completely stunned. Not only him, but almost everyone around immediately stood up and stared at the gate. They had never heard of someone that could enter before the gate opened. It was completely beyond their expectations. Tang Yanfeng stared dumbfoundedly at the Thunder Celestial Gate. He muttered, "What is this? How could someone enter before it opened?" Could it be that you can enter before it opens? He frowned. He wasn't the only person who had this idea, but no one dared to try, except for one person. This person's body flickered and a clone walked out from behind him. He pointed forward and the clone charged toward the dark red thunder. Everyone's gazes immediately followed. They all saw the clone touch the dark red thunder, but its body trembled and quickly collapsed. At the same time, a bolt of dark red thunder shot out toward the cultivator that sent out the clone. This cultivator's expression changed greatly. He was at the illusory XIAN stage, but when facing the thunder, his scalp felt numb and was about to lose his wit. He turned and quickly ran, but the red thunder chased closely after. The red thunder entered the person's body and flew back after making a cycle through that person's body. That cultivator trembled. Then his entire body, along with his origin soul and bag of holding, collapsed. Silence. All of the surrounding cultivators became silent. No one noticed that at this moment, Shangong, who had lowered his head, but his eyes were filled with shock and unimaginable excitement. When he saw the meteor-like thunder pass, he felt a trace of his lord's aura inside due to his Tao soul. Shangong, who was not wrong. Senior is really amazing person. The thunder he attracted reached this degree, and could enter the thunder celestial realm before it opened. This kind of cultivation is really unbelievable. A person was standing on a peak covered in countless bolts of thunder, on a fragment of the unopened thunder celestial realm. This person was an old man with a head of white hair flowing in the air. As his white clothes fluttered in the air, he had his hand behind his back and frowned as if he was thinking of something. However, he was startled as he looked into the distance and softly exclaimed, "Interesting." The old man revealed a look of interest. A gust of wind blew by and his body turned into countless golden specks and disappeared from this thunder mountain. If Wang Lin was here, he would immediately recognize that when the old man disappeared, there was a faint aura of returning to the origin. The meteor-like thunder that led Wang Lin to the thunder celestial realm became more crazy the moment it hit the dark red thunder. The amount of thunder inside it suddenly increased several-fold and reached a terrifying degree. It had entered Wang Lin's body like a crazy dragon. In just a breath of time, it caused Wang Lin's body to feel numb and completely locked Wang Lin's origin soul. This phenomenon was so fast that Wang Lin didn't even have time to think. His whole body was frozen, as if someone had casted the stop spell on him. When the meteor-like thunder collided with the dark red thunder, he was brought into the thunder celestial realm. Wang Lin wasn't able to check his surroundings at all because the thunder surrounding him was falling even faster than a stone smashing down. It carried with it a thunderous rumble as it smashed directly onto a broken fragment of the thunder celestial realm. The meteor broke through the air and smashed into the ground, causing the entire fragment to shake and setting off a huge dust storm. At this moment, the fragment was so dusty that one couldn't see past 30 feet. The entire earth shook violently like there was a giant earth dragon churning underground. After a long time, the dust storm settled and the earth gradually settled down as well. Only the hole on the surface of the eastern part of the fragment proved that everything that had just happened was real. Green smoke was coming from the hole. When the wind blew, the green smoke dissipated. At the end of the pit there was thunder moving through the earth and there was even some scorched earth. This hole was very deep, but the actual depth was unknown. At the very bottom lied Wang Lin. Blood was coming out of his orifices and many parts of his body were injured from the impact. He was in an extremely sorry state. Although this thunder celestial realm was more stable than the rain celestial realm, it was still on the brink of collapse. The only difference was between 50 and 100 steps 1. Basically implying although the difference is huge in terms of ratio, but overall it's still pretty small difference in grander scheme of things. After experiencing the massive shock of the meteor-like thunder, the fragment became more unstable. Not long after the hole was formed by Wang Lin, the edge of the hole began to collapse and there were series of muffled rumbles. After the dust settled, there were only ruins, and the hole was completely buried. A white-haired old man's body seemed to appear out of the void. He arrived next to the ground where the hole was before looking down and smiling. "I have lived for a long time, and this is the first time I've seen someone so greedy to enter the thunder celestial realm early like this." The old man's eyes narrowed. After taking careful look, he muttered, "This little guy's origin soul is giving off such powerful thunder pressure, and even his body is made of thunder. What a mess, is he a human or a spirit? If he continues like this, he will become a thunder spirit sooner or later. However, the location of his landing is a bit interesting. Forget it, since he was seen by this old man, that means we are fated. The old man's eyes revealed a look of interest. He raised his right hand and pressed down on the ground. A ray of light quickly passed by the ground. Then the old man's body flickered and disappeared. There had been many people who were fated with him, but each of them ended up very helpless. Time slowly passed. Deep underground, Wang Lin slowly opened his eyes. Massive pain was coming from all over his body. Even his origin soul wasn't operating properly. Wang Lin wryly smiled as he looked around. This was a collapsed stone room with some soil trickling in from above. After looking around, Wang Lin struggled to sit up and closed his eyes to cultivate. He slowly activated his origin soul, and found a trace of thunder that was incompatible with his own thunder. This thunder was the reason why his origin soul wasn't operating properly. The surroundings were completely silent without any sound, and Wang Lin was completely immersed in his cultivation. At this moment, the celestial guard walked out of his shadow. It sat down opposite of Wang Lin and protected him. 7 days passed by in a flash. Wang Lin opened his eyes and spat out mouthful of foul air. There was a trace of thunder in there. I can't take this kind of risk in the future. Fortunately, the amount of thunder that disturbed my origin soul wasn't much. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to expel it in a short period of time. After expelling that sliver of thunder, Wang Lin's injuries began to recover and his origin soul healed. His body was damaged, but it didn't affect his cultivation. Wang Lin looked at the earth above him, then he took a step forward and charged straight toward the earth. Since I came to the Thunder Celestial Realm, I need to take a good look to see how it's different from the Rain Celestial Realm. Wang Lin's body turned into a ray of light, but right when he touched the dirt above him, there was a flash of light from the dirt. As if he had hit a wall of iron, there was a loud rumble and he bounced off the dirt. After landing on the ground, Wang Lin retreated a few steps and his eyes were filled with terror. This dirt contains origin energy. Wang Lin took a deep breath and his eyes filled with lightning. As he took a closer look, his expression darkened. This isn't origin energy formed naturally. It's from a spell that someone casted. Someone doesn't want me to leave. Wang Lin's eyes became cold. Although he was injured when he smashed down, he was more or less aware of his surroundings. Although the ground was harder than normal, it wouldn't stop spells from going through. However, this dirt had changed, which immediately shocked Wang Lin. Was it someone who casted a spell or a change that occurred due to the celestial thunder being too violent? Wang Lin pondered for a moment, and with a thought, the celestial guard charged out. Tried to break through at multiple locations. The result was that every direction was impassable aside from directly forward. Wang Lin's expression became even more gloomy. He was even more certain this was man-made. Someone had seen him and imprisoned him here, leaving him only one road. They even arrogantly told him that the only path left was forward. Wang Lin silently pondered. He had used several days to heal, and didn't know if the Thunder Celestial Realm had opened. He also wasn't able to deduce the identity of the person who used the spell. However, this person is able to lock down a part of the Celestial Realm. I fear that this person's cultivation is not simple. However, what purpose does he have for wanting me to move forward? This method doesn't make sense. If that person is hostile to me, he could have just attacked directly. Wang Lin pondered and his eyes lit up. He then looked at the hole the Celestial Guard made while looking for a way out. Forget it, it is pointless to stay here. Let's see what mysteries lie ahead. Wang Lin's eyes became cold as he slapped his bag of holding, and a golden celestial brush appeared in his hand. While holding the brush, a sliver of red light came out from the crack between his eyebrows. This made him look very evil. Then his right hand formed a seal and a celestial wind immediately appeared, blowing away the dirt before him and revealing a passage. Wang Lin's divine sense spread out and found countless winding channels leading to the unknown. His divine sense spread out even further but still wasn't able to find where it ended. After pondering for a while, Wang Lin's body charged directly forward. As he charged forward, his divine sense was spread out, looking for an exit. As he rushed through the tunnels, he tried breaking through at multiple points, but all of the dirt was reinforced by the spell, so he wasn't able to charge out. As he moved, his eyes narrowed. His divine sense had found the exit at a fork ahead. Wang Lin suddenly sped out toward the exit. However, he was a bit puzzled because the search for the exit seemed a bit too easy. Could this place not have been created by a spell but caused by the thunder? Wang Lin began to ponder and slowed down. Just at this moment, the exit he was locked onto released a flash of light. When the light disappeared, the exit also disappeared without a trace. Wang Lin was startled and his expression became even more gloomily. After pondering a bit, he let out a cold snort and headed toward the exit. After arriving at the exit, he looked around for a long time. He didn't say anything as he turned around and headed for the other fork. His divine sense was spread out and carefully observing each tunnel. Half an hour later, his divine sense found another exit. Gray light was coming through the exit. Clearly that exit led to the surface. Wang Lin didn't hesitate and charged directly at the exit. He was already moving very fast, but he couldn't teleport. However, he soon arrived near the exit. When H was only 100 feet from the exit, he rushed forth. However, just at this moment, the exit gave off a flash of white light and disappeared. Wang Lin had missed the exit. He clenched his fist and put on an extremely gloomy expression. He then raised his head. It was as if his eyes could penetrate the earth. After taking a few deep breaths, he turned around and left. This place must have been created by a spell. As Wang Lin gloomily moved through the endless tunnel, he calmed his previously anxious mentality. These exits were clearly being controlled by someone. They wanted him to see the exit but not be able to leave. If he became anxious and rushed, it would be even more difficult to leave. At this moment, somewhere in the Thunder Celestial Realm, the old man had his hand behind his back. He smiled and muttered, "It has been a long time since someone fated with this old man has appeared. If this junior can leave within 7 days, that means he is even more fated. I really hope this little guy can make it out in 7 days. There are many interesting places in this Thunder Celestial Realm that are extremely suitable for people fated with this old man." 3 days of time flashed by. Wang Lin was moving through the underground passage like lightning with his divine sense spread out. He would find an exit almost every half an hour, but he would never head over and continued his own journey. Using 3 days of time, he walked through all the passages underground. As a result, a complete map appeared in his mind. He also found the method to leave this place. Since this place collapsed when I fell, that means that this place is unstable. So even if this place is sealed with a powerful spell, it still won't be able to withstand the collapse of the celestial realm. Wang Lin calculated that staying in this tunnel would get him out of here. To be more exact, this location was the connecting point for all the tunnels. Almost all of the branching paths were connected to this tunnel. Exits that appear at fixed times to lure me and make me increasingly irritated when I try to rush at them. This person sure is bored. A hint of coldness flashed across Wang Lin's eyes. How could he be willing to be fooled by another person like this? Right now he had to break through this scheme with his own strength. Wang Lin raised his head and locked onto the dirt above him. He then slapped his bag of holding and the god-slaying war chariot flew out, turning into the Thunder Beast. At the moment the Thunder Beast appeared, it let out a roar. It was connected to Wang Lin, so without waiting for Wang Lin's order, a large amount of thunder moved through its body and gathered at its silver horn. At this moment, its silver horn gave off a bright light. As it roared, the beast charged up carrying the powerful light. It was like a sharp sword that charged toward the dirt above the tunnel. A loud rumble echoed across the passages and a violent tremble suddenly appeared. Wang Lin could clearly feel the powerful tremble that spread across the tunnels and immediately affected all the other tunnels. The Thunder Beast's body was knocked back. The powerful rebound force was something it almost couldn't bear. After retreating a few steps, its body trembled, but its eyes were filled with battle intent and an unyielding gaze. Just at this moment, a shadow flickered behind Wang Lin and the celestial guard flew out. Its body was covered in a golden light, and it threw a punch at the spot where the Thunder Beast's attack landed. Boom! The earth-shattering explosion caused a violent tremble that spread across the area. The celestial guard's body was sturdy, so it withdrew its fist and threw another punch, causing more trembling. The rebound force was intense, and after 5 punches, the celestial guard had to back up. The golden glow around the celestial guard dimmed and its aura became unstable. Wang Lin's eyes were calm. The location he chose couldn't be wrong. At this moment, the celestial guard retreated and Wang Lin took out the celestial sword containing the awakened Su Ligua. The celestial sword rushed forth along with Su Ligua's cursing. The Thunder Beast, Celestial Guard, and Celestial Sword's successive attacks caused the fragment to tremble violently, especially this tunnel. Because this tunnel was connected to all the other tunnels trembled violently as well. Wang Lin let out a roar. Then his hand formed a seal and the celestial spiritual energy in his body surged. His origin soul gave off thunder and thunder gathered in his hand. He threw the thunder, and the Thunder Beast also roared and charged out with the thunder. The Celestial Guard followed closely after. The entire fragment began to tremble violently. At this moment, the violent trembling caused the tunnel to collapse. The collapse of one tunnel caused a chain reaction, so all the connecting tunnels instantly collapsed as well. The collapse spread and a large amount of dirt fell. However, a trace of origin energy appeared and surrounded the surrounding area. The origin energy threads were very dense and rarely intersected. However, every time the lines intersected, a light door appeared. Wang Lin's pupils shrank. He didn't think the spell would still exist after the collapse of the tunnels. However, without the obstruction of the dirt, it was much easier for Wang Lin to leave through the exit that appeared every half an hour. At the moment the next light door appeared, Wang Lin's body flickered and he charged out of the door at his fastest speed. The Celestial Guard and Thunder Beast followed closely after. At the moment he came out, he didn't pause. He stepped into the void and let out a big breath. What is this person's purpose? If he wanted to kill me, it wouldn't have been hard with this spell. If he wanted to trap me, then simply make those doors disappear. However, why? Wang Lin lowered his head and looked at the ground. The line forming the prison was still there. After pondering a bit, Wang Lin put away the Thunder Beast and Celestial Guard. However, when he looked at the line of origin energy below him, he felt his scalp tingle. He looked around as he pondered and muttered, "This place is the Thunder Celestial Realm. Celestial jades should be dispensable things for those cultivators that have stepped into the second step. After all, second step cultivators focus on origin energy." This question had been sitting at the bottom of his heart ever since he found out about origin energy. He wondered why so many second step cultivators were so eager to come to the Thunder Celestial Realm. After meeting Shengong, Wang Lin made some guesses and gradually understood something. Aside from the celestial jades, there were celestial pills and treasures in the Thunder Celestial Realm. Although some were taken every time it opened, there would still be some remaining. As for whether one could find any, it would depend on one's own fortune. There were even rumors about complete celestial spells. Although most of the celestial spells were incomplete, the cultivators of the All-Heaven star system was confident that there must be complete celestial spells here. In addition to all of this, there was another key reason. So far, 8 completely intact corpses of celestials had been found in the Thunder Celestial Realm. If one could find the corpse of a celestial, even if it was only a clue, they could sell it to the Thunder Celestial Temple. If the clues were accurate, one would receive great benefits. If one could obtain a corpse of a celestial by themselves and handed it to the Thunder Celestial Temple, then the individual gains would be unimaginable. Even the benefits one's family would receive would be a great harvest. If the person who obtained the corpse of a celestial had enough talent, they may even be taken as a disciple of one of the 10 great elders. From then on, they would be above others and their futures would be limitless. Aside from all of this, what really attracted second-step cultivators of the All-Heaven star system to this place were the origin energy pits. More than 10,000 years ago, a cultivator found a semi-abandoned origin energy pit. That cultivator was only at the ascendant stage, and after cultivating inside the origin energy pit, he miraculously broke through the first step and reached the second step. For some reason, this news spread and caused every cultivator to go crazy over it. As for how the origin energy pit formed, no one knew and no one had ever seen it the countless times the Thunder Celestial Realm had opened before. It was as if this origin energy pit had appeared out of nowhere. There was a large amount of origin energy inside the origin energy pit. The origin energy there was extremely rich and didn't need any refining. Even if one wasn't at the second step, they only needed to cultivate to absorb it. Various rumors spread by different people caused countless cultivators to gather at the Thunder Celestial Realm. Aside from the Origin Energy Pit, there was a tool called the Origin Tool by all Heaven cultivators. The energy contained inside the Origin Tool was different from the energy inside Celestial Jades. If a first-step cultivator absorbed it, it would become Celestial Spiritual Energy, but if a second-step cultivator absorbed it, it would become Origin Energy. All of these were the real reasons why Wang Lin was tempted to come. He was also suspicious about why he had never even heard of these things in the Rain Celestial Realm. There was no answer, but he vaguely guessed that the Rain Celestial Realm was a little small compared to the Thunder Celestial Realm. This, of course, could be the fact that the collapse was more serious, so a lot of areas no longer existed. However, it was also possible that some areas were made inaccessible by others or weren't open to the public at all. My cultivation still isn't enough. Wang Lin let out a sigh. Then his whole body turned into a ray of light and he was about to leave. At this moment, the lines of Origin Energy suddenly collapsed and disappeared without a trace. Wang Lin stopped and stared at the scene. At this moment, a faint fluctuation of Celestial Spiritual Energy came from the collapsed ground. A grayish-white handle was half exposed inside the dirt. The Celestial Spiritual Energy fluctuations were coming from this object. On a fragment somewhere in the Thunder Celestial Realm, the old man had his hands behind his back and was staring at a towering mountain ahead of him. He licked his lips and was about to walk forward, but he suddenly stopped as if he had detected something and laughed. That little guy took the shortcut, or else it would have been impossible for him to leave within 7 days. However, there is no harm in taking a shortcut. Since you want to become a fated person with this old man that badly, then this old man will reluctantly agree. However, there are still more important matters at hand. This old man has prepared materials for tens of thousands of years for this matter to finally succeed. After I retrieve this mountain soul and place the great all-heaven formation, I'll come and find you. The old man's eyes revealed a hint of excitement. With his experience, there was hardly anything that could make him excited. If there was anything that brought any excitement to his life, then it would be this terrifying plan that he had been working on for tens of thousands of years. The old man chuckled as he stepped forward toward the towering mountain. This old man will become the #1 person in the all-heaven star system. Once this plan is complete, I can sweep across the Alliance star system and make that damn Master Zhongxian die without a grave. As for Wang Lin, he slowly landed, reached out, and pulled out the thing from the ground. This thing was incomplete, as if it was part of a water vase. His eyes shined and looked at the ground. He could vaguely feel that there were several more fluctuations underground. Why didn't I notice this before? I only detected it after this place collapsed. Wang Lin looked at it and pondered. Just at this moment, a ray of light broke through horizon. This ray of light was black and seemed to carry a dense devilish energy. The ray of black light seemed to notice something and then it charged directly toward Wang Lin. The devilish energy contained undisguised killing intent and arrogance. Junior, up ahead. Leave behind the thing in your hand and scram out of here. If you disobey, die. What followed the voice was a devilish flame that covered the entire sky. The black flame emitted a heat that could burn one's origin soul, and it instantly covered the sky. It was as if the thin layer of clouds in the sky was eroded by the devilish flame and was filled with devilish energy. It was as if they only needed to gather the water within for an intense rainstorm to begin. Carrying a trace of rain, the flame moved with the wind and rushed toward the ground. The devilish energy around the ground became monstrous in an instant. If someone were watching from far away, they would see that the devilish energy had formed a huge phantom with a single horn. A purple-robed young man appeared on the head of the phantom. His eyes were giving off a bloodthirsty light and his black hair was floating behind him. He stepped on the phantom and then it rushed toward the ground. Wang Lin stood on the ground as he calmly looked up at the sky. He waved his right hand and put the broken handle into his bag. When the devilish phantom closed in, the young man on top looked down at Wang Lin and coldly said, "You're courting death." He didn't move, but the rain near him quickly condensed and rushed out. Tich rain formed arrows that penetrated through the air. They flew toward Wang Lin while creating a strange whistling sound. The youth was at the illusory stage, and it was obvious that he wasn't new to this cultivation. Although he wasn't at the peak, he was still at the mid-stage. His cultivation could match the Thunder Taoist, and his devilish spells made him even more fierce. Even the Thunder Taoist wouldn't necessarily have the upper hand against him. The arrows formed by the rain contained a fierce killing intent. Wang Lin's eyes became cold and he retreated several steps. His hand reached out and bursts of thunder exploded forth. At the same time, balls of thunder appeared, and they were each connected by lightning. With a point of his finger, these balls of thunder charged toward the arrows. The moment the balls of thunder closed in on the arrows, they immediately exploded. The violent explosion caused the arrows to immediately disintegrate. The countless rain arrows all dissipated 100 feet before Wang Lin. The youth above the devilish phantom calmly and slowly said, "A little interesting." However, before he finished speaking, not only did Wang Lin not retreat, he stepped forward. He was already angry from being trapped inside the tunnel, and now he had met this youth that attacked with killing intent right away. It was as if he was so weak in everyone's eyes that they could attack him as they wished. It seems I have been too low-key in the all-heaven star system. If the youth was at the corporeal yang stage, Wang Lin might have hesitated and chosen to retreat. However, he had killed illusory cultivators before, and he stepped directly toward the phantom. Using devilish spells before me, I have even battled a scattered devil. With one step, Wang Lin stepped into the air. He then raised his right hand and his origin soul became active. A large amount of thunder came from his body and quickly gathered in his right hand. A blue ball of thunder suddenly appeared, and it simply contained too much thunder. The moment it appeared, it caused the surroundings to change. This place was the Thunder Celestial Realm, so it was not lacking in thunder. The moment Wang Lin's ball of thunder appeared, strands of thunder appeared on the ground and even the sky seemed to be affected. Countless strands of thunder were attracted to the ball of thunder. Holding the ball of thunder, Wang Lin jumped forward and pushed the ball. The ball of thunder rushed directly toward the youth on the devilish phantom. The youth's expression slightly changed. Not only did the killing intent in his eyes not lessen, it became even stronger. His hand rapidly formed seals, and at the moment the ball of thunder closed in, he shouted, "Devil devour!" Two bloodthirsty devilish lights suddenly appeared on the originally blurry-looking devilish phantom. Then a crack appeared and became bigger and bigger before it devoured the ball of thunder. Such weak thunder isn't even qualified for me to use my devilish flame. The youth raised his right hand and all the rain gathered. The rain moved around inside his hand. In an instant a long spear formed. It was formed by rain, but it seemed to be made of ink. The spear was black and seemed to be flowing. Then the youth waved his hand and a water curtain charged toward Wang Lin with dense devilish energy. Wang Lin was calm as he slapped his bag of holding and something appeared in his hand. It was the Celestial Mountain. The moment it appeared in his hand, it immediately increased in size until it was as big as a mountain. At the moment the water curtain arrived, Wang Lin pressed his right hand on the mountain with a mysterious light in his eyes. When he raised his hand, strands of the mountain's soul were pulled out as if they were drawing each other out. When Wang Lin's right hand completely lifted, the mountain's soul had turned into a ball of mist in his hand and was giving off an ancient aura. Wang Lin's body was like lighting. He was so fast that at the moment he moved, he caused a thunderous roar. Holding the mist in his hand, Wang Lin rushed out right when the water curtain was closing in. The water pierced into his body and immediately turned into countless drops of cold, devilish water droplets that instantly surrounded Wang Lin. However, as soon as it surrounded Wang Lin, the mist in his hand gave off a rich celestial spiritual energy fluctuation that allowed Wang Lin to charge through the water curtain. Without pausing at all, he charged forward and pressed the mist toward the youth on the devilish phantom. The youth's expression sank the moment the mist appeared. He immediately threw the spear and it charged out like a dragon. The spear rushed through the air and penetrated the ball of mist. After Wang Lin threw the ball of mist, he didn't stop but rushed forward and shouted, "Scatter!" The ball of mist suddenly spread out and swelled several times, becoming a dense mist that covered the entire spear. The youth's expression changed and was about to use a spell. Just at this moment, Wang Lin's eyes became cold and he shouted, "Thunder explode!" The ball of thunder devoured by the devilish phantom hadn't disintegrated. It was hiding. At the moment Wang Lin shouted, the powerful thunder exploded within the phantom's body. A blue light immediately appeared within the phantom. The light became bright and brighter before instantly reaching its limit. Finally, in a series of thunderous rumbles, countless bolts of thunder burst from the phantom's body. Its large, illusory body completely collapsed. The drastic change caused the youth's expression to become even more gloomy. At the breath before the phantom collapsed, the youth had already left the phantom's body. However, Wang Lin had already closed in. Wang Lin's shadow flashed and the celestial guard quickly stepped out. In the youth's eyes, it was as if Wang Lin had split into two. The celestial guard's entire body gave off a golden glow that flowed like water toward its right hand. At this moment, it seemed as if the celestial guard was holding the sun. One punch was thrown. Because Wang Lin's cultivation had reached the peak of the late stage of ascendant, it wasn't as easy as before to see that the celestial guard was hiding in his shadow. All of this happened in an extremely short period of time. It happened so fast that the youth didn't even have time to think. He didn't expect a mere peak late-stage ascendant cultivator to be able to create a ball of thunder this powerful and draw out the mountain's soul. What shocked him the most was the punch from the puppet. The storm formed by this punch was too powerful. Not only was the golden light blinding, even his origin soul felt pain when the light shined on him. This punch was the peak of the celestial guard's power. It was a punch that could shatter the world. It was incredibly fast and landed directly before the youth. The consecutive changes caught him completely unprepared. From the slow attack at his start to the sudden change that came after, the youth felt a life and death crisis he hadn't felt in a very long time. He didn't hesitate to quickly retreat, as this punch made his scalp tingle. He had a feeling that if he didn't retreat and was hit by this punch, even with his illusory cultivation, he would undoubtedly die. As the youth retreated, the celestial guard's punch exploded. The youth bit the tip of his tongue without hesitation and spat out essence blood that contained origin energy. His expression became fierce and he shouted, "Screen of Dong Lin!" The essence blood exploded like water falling in hot oil. The blood mist gathered before the youth to block the puppet's punch. When the punch landed on the blood mist, a sound that shocked the entire fragment suddenly echoed across the fragment. This sound was beyond loud and the impact rapidly spread. It was as if the entire earth had 10 feet of it scrapped off by the shockwave. Large amounts of dirt flew up into the air and debris that gave off celestial spiritual energy fluctuation appeared. The blood mist dissipated and the puppet fell to the ground before retreating several more steps to steady itself. However, the golden light was completely gone, and it seemed to have used all its energy. It was clear to anyone that the celestial guard's body was trembling lightly. The youth that came with murderous intent flew toward the ground like a meteor and smashed into the ground with a bang. An illusory black lotus emitting a powerful black devilish flame appeared above him. "In 5,000 years, you're the first person to make me, Su Fenghan." However, before he could finish speaking, there was a loud, muffled explosion from inside the mist formed by the mountain soul. There was a loud echo as the mist dissipated and the thread returned to the celestial mountain. The spear inside had lost its power and had dissipated, and the rain fell to the earth. Su Fenghan's words were interrupted by the disappearance of the spear. As his slender figure walked out from the dust, his face was pale and was in a somewhat sorry state. His eyes were cold and were carrying a crazy amount of killing intent. "You're very good, very good." A cold voice came from his mouth and was also gnashing through his teeth. To be pushed this far by a first-step cultivator was a disgrace. He had forgotten that he came here for the pieces of treasure fragments underground. The only thing in his mind was killing Wang Lin. Wang Lin secretly sighed. It was very difficult to kill a second-step cultivator. All of the calculations and attacks were done to give the Celestial Guard a chance for that punch. If it was any first-step cultivator, they wouldn't have been able to block that attack. However, he could only injure but not kill an illusory cultivator, who couldn't even be considered to have truly reached the second step. This person is much more powerful than the Thunder Taoist from back then. Wang Lin waved his hand and all the fragments exposed on the surface were gathered by him. Wang Lin was staring at the devilish lotus flame above Su Fenghan's head. Su Fenghan took a deep breath. Then he pointed at the sky with his right hand and grimly said, "Even if you have that puppet, thanks to the Tao of my devil lotus that formed when I reached the illusory stage, you will still be reduced to ashes." Devil Lotus Tao, first rotation. When Su Fenghan finished speaking, his Devil Lotus began to slowly rotate. The rotation caused the Devil Flame to immediately become more intense and cover half the sky. Wang Lin's expression was very serious. This was a rare chance to see a cultivator with their own Tao. The rotation of the Devil Lotus seemed to have replaced the world itself. It was as if the world was turning. This feeling was very unreal but also extremely real. It was as if he had become a grain of sand in the world and was being mercilessly erased by the rotation of the world. I can't let it keep rotating. Wang Lin's expression suddenly turned pale. Thunder suddenly echoed across the sky that was half covered by the black flame from the Devil Lotus. In an instant, an underworld river appeared in the sky. This underworld river was extremely long, as if a great river had suddenly appeared in the sky. Bursts of mournful cries came from within, making it seem as if the entire world was filled with endless resentment. The underworld river squeezed into Black Flame's territory, creating an opposing force. At this moment, the rotation of the world gradually stopped and Wang Lin revealed a serious expression. Cultivators that had their own Tao and could materialize it were terrifying. Wang Lin was very clear on this point. Su Fenghan's eyes narrowed as he stared the underworld river and slowly said, "So you can materialize your own Tao too. You can also draw the soul from the mountain and have so many magical treasures. If my guess is correct, you are a second-step cultivator as well, but due to certain circumstances, your cultivation fell to the peak of the late stage of Ascendant." Only this explanation could prevent Su Fenghan from feeling bad. Otherwise, he really couldn't face the fact that an Ascendant cultivator could be this strong. "I believe that that puppet is your original body and this body is your clone. You must be too injured for your origin soul to return to your original body." The more Su Fenghan spoke, the more clear his mind became and the more he was sure of his speculation. "Let us see which of our Taos is stronger." Su Fenghan's eyes became cold and were filled with killing intent. The lotus above his head immediately began to rotate even faster. The black flame became even more monstrous to the point that it formed a wall of black flame that would make anyone's throat feel dry the moment they saw it. Su Fenghan shouted, "Devilish flame burn!" The flame vortex separated from the lotus and charged toward Wang Lin. The vortex rotated rapidly, creating a powerful wind that carried intense heat. This wind created a storm that closed rapidly on Wang Lin. Wang Lin's eyes released a golden glow. This battle was his first life and death battle since reaching the peak of the late stage of Ascendant. As the devilish flame closed in, Wang Lin raised his hand and shouted, "Second ability, Condense River Soul." The underworld river immediately trembled and all the resentment inside condensed. This resentment was too powerful. It was all the resentment Wang Lin had gathered from all the mortals on planet Qinglin. All of the resentment combined to form a monstrous amount of grievance. The monstrous resentment turned solid and charged out as shadows. Each shadow had the figure of a mortal. In an instant, countless shadows of mortals appeared in the world. At this moment, the world seemed narrow and crowded. However, the mortals formed by the resentment all fused in the blink of an eye. The result was a human-shaped resentful spirit that had no specific appearance. The resentful spirit was born from the underworld river. Just as it appeared, the underworld river wrapped around the spirit and charged at the devilish flame vortex. The resentful spirit and devilish flame vortex collided, creating an unimaginable power. At this instant, an extremely harsh sound came from the sky. The entire sky seemed to be torn by this power. The earth shook violently under the impact of the force. A crack appeared before Wang Lin and Su Fenghan and quickly spread. It was as if the entire continent was being split in half. The resentful spirit shattered into countless strands of resentment and returned to the underworld river. The underworld river collapsed. The underworld river was his Tao, and its collapse meant the collapse of his Tao. When Wang Lin felt the effect of the collapse, his expression immediately turned pale and he staggered a few steps backwards. The devilish flame's power was transmitted into the underworld river, and when the underworld river collapsed, it was transmitted into Wang Lin's origin soul. This devilish flame burned as if was going to burn the entire world. Wang Lin's face turned red. Then he coughed out a large mouthful of blood and was immediately filled with killing intent. Third ability, Power of the Underworld River. Wang Lin's head jerked upward and he stared at the crumbling underworld river. His unyielding nature was revealed through his gaze. He would never yield. If his Tao collapsed, then he would reform it once more. If the underworld river collapsed, then he would reform it once more. The devilish flame was forced out through the pores in his body. The devilish flame was invisible, but then black gas rose into the air. Su Fenghan's expression was also pale, and he also took several steps backward. Although the devilish flame formed by his Tao didn't collapse, it was as if rain had fallen on it, and more than half of the flames had extinguished. Even his body was eroded by the resentful spirit from the underworld river. Luckily, his cultivation was powerful enough that he could suppress it after many attempts. If he hadn't suppressed it, it would have invaded his mind and he would have gone crazy before Wang Lin even had a chance to attack. Battles of Tao are the most dangerous. Those words are not false. For the first time, Su Fenghan put Wang Lin on the same level as himself. Battles of Tao often shake the roots of cultivators. This was not their origin soul or their flesh but their Tao heart. The consequences of a damaged Tao heart were extremely terrifying, as it was extremely difficult to recover. Su Fenghan saw that Wang Lin's underworld river had collapsed, but at this moment, a powerful unyielding will actually cause the collapsing underworld river to reform. This scene shocked him greatly and his eyes revealed a mysterious light. This was the first time he had seen a Tao spell like this. His eyes lit up and knew he couldn't retreat right now. This was a battle of Tao, and if he retreated, the consequences would be very serious. His right hand formed a seal and he shouted, "Devil Lotus 100 rotations." The lotus trembled and rapidly rotated. At this moment, the feeling that the world was rotating appeared once more. This feeling was so terrifying that Wang Lin's body retreated subconsciously. He didn't want to retreat, but he had no choice. It felt like he would be obliterated by the rotating world if he didn't retreat. I have killed illusory in cultivators before, so it's not impossible to kill another. Wang Lin's right foot stomped on the ground and his body stopped. His unyielding gaze fell directly on the underworld river. This will also contain Wang Lin's confidence. This combination of unyielding will and faith caused the underworld river to stop collapsing. A powerful suction came from within the underworld river. This suction was extremely powerful. It was as if it wanted to suck everything into the underworld river. No matter how one rotated, one couldn't escape from the suction comprehended from the intersection of two star systems. This suction was so powerful that it even caused the lotus to slow down. It was as if it was inside water, as its rotation was obstructed and slowed down. This change caused Su Fenghan's expression to change greatly. Without hesitation, he jumped up. He was about to sit down on the lotus and use his own power to make the lotus rotate. How could Wang Lin give him that chance? Wang Lin immediately shot out. Under the suction of the underworld river, his right hand pointed into the air. His eyes were filled with killing intent as he shouted, "Karma Whip!" A curved line suddenly appeared between Wang Lin's eyebrows. This thin line slowly extended until it became a long whip. The moment the whip appeared, it immediately shook and gave off snapping sounds. It caused countless ripples to appear, and it was like an intangible object. It mercilessly whipped at Su Fenghan, who was charging toward the lotus. The whip was only lashing at the air, but it mysteriously affected Su Fenghan. His body trembled, his face turned pale and his body paused. The karma whip attacks karma. This person's Tao heart has a flaw. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed and he rushed out without hesitation.